repeat after me.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting is in compliance with the Open Public Meeting Law and has been duly advertised in the newspaper as an official meeting. Roll call.
Present. Present.
Present.
Present.
Present.
Present. A motion for approval of the agenda with addendums.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, roll call.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. There will be no educational recognitions tonight. I'll turn the meeting over to the superintendent for her report.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh, and good evening, everyone. As we do every board meeting, I'd like to start my report this evening with our high school student board members. So first, I'd like to, from Memorial, call Keith Adim to the podium to give us an overview of the happenings at Memorial High School. Keith?
Is this working? All right. Good evening, Mrs. Pormilli, members of the Central Administration staff, and board members. Thank you for having me back to address you all once again regarding this month at Jackson Memorial High School. I am proud to report another successful month. Since I last spoke here, we were able to accomplish some great events. One in particular I'd like to highlight, that being our annual homecoming dance, which I would describe as an astounding success. With over 650 students in attendance, the event proved once again to be an excellent addition to our school that all of our students seem to look forward to every year. Preceding the event was our Spirit Week, which day by day built up excitement through the wearing of creative clothing and fun themes, with us capping off the week with our annual pep rally to show the celebration of our sports teams. The event featured fun games such as the tug of war, the hula hoop race, and the field goal contest, with participants consisting of volunteers from each grade level. This excitement and build-up seemed to be a gleaming shower of motivation that led our football team to a spectacular 34-0 win over our crosstown rivals, once again allowing us to claim the Connor Cup. With that being said, our shift into the school year has been steady and exciting, with the first marking period coming to an end soon this Friday, particularly for our senior class who, including me, are working steadily towards our early action and early decision college applications. And speaking of seniors, I'm happy and excited to give a shout out to our first seniors of the month, my good friends Evan Walsh and Evie Wachowski. As for upcoming events, things are looking bright and hopeful, as another academic achievement we're looking forward to is the induction of our new National Honor Society members on the 7th of November. We're looking at a large inducted class of scholarly students aiming to represent our school's academic prowess through the organization. In addition to this, our annual Powder Puff game is highly anticipated by the student body this year, between both participants and the audience. Many of us are wondering if we will be able to figure out just how our cheerleaders are able to survive running around with their t-shirt sleeves cut off in the freezing cold weather like we witnessed last year. On October 27th, we are also scheduled to have a joint student leadership luncheon with Mrs. Pormilli and my fellow school representatives here from Liberty, right here at Jackson Memorial High School in our student leadership room. Hopefully, we will be able to discuss important matters and share some fun ideas that we are able to come up with together. Additionally, the new implementation of the Common Lunch has continued to be a huge success. Clubs are thriving with the 1-hour break, students are more inclined to one-on-one time with teachers, whether it be for academics or just to socialize, and the entire concept has been widely favored over the previous year's block schedule. One thing in particular I have noticed was the high involvement within many of our performing arts, such as our band, music, art, and theater programs, which I would commend thanks to the usage of our Common Lunch. To circle back onto our sports teams, while many of our fall programs have remained relatively steady in their seasonal records, As I mentioned earlier, with an impressive record now of 5-2, our football team has been a spectacle to watch and follow throughout the season. Our excitement, though, will soon be transitioning to our winter sports, in which our students and athletes are eagerly awaiting the start of their seasons, including me, who I can personally say knows that the basketball team is looking forward to further cementing their spot as a top team in the Shore following our performance from last season. With that being said, the school year so far has been nothing but successful. It is unique from previous years and is the first normal year we have had in a very long time. And I would like to finish off by once again thanking Mrs. Parmilli and the Board of Education for your continued support and for giving me the opportunity to speak here tonight. I look forward to addressing you all next month to hopefully continue reporting on an eventful and successful school year. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. That was very informative. Lots of good things happening for students at Memorial High School. So this evening, we have a special guest from Liberty subbing in for Jordan tonight. We have Jose Linez Martinez.
Good evening, Superintendent Parmilli, Board of Education members, and guests. Thank you for having me here. My name is Jose Linez Martinez. I am a junior at Jackson Liberty High School. I am honored to share with you a little bit about what the students and staff of Jackson Liberty have been up to since our last meeting. This month was even more successful than last, with many opportunities and activities taking place. This month, we celebrate Week of Respect, Violence Awareness Week, and Red Ribbon Week. All of these events are accompanied by morning announcements, activities, and themes that the staff and students participate with great enthusiasm. Countless clubs took this month to really make a difference. Some organizations like National Art Honor Society and various sports teams ran fundraisers. The biggest of those events was our first annual golf outing to benefit the Hall of Fame celebration scheduled for this spring. Having some of the inductees there made that day special, and it was really just an overall incredible event. We were thrilled to see the teachers and administrators from all around the district attend. In addition, there were also many families, Jackson PD, and even some Board of Education members that participated in the fun field day. We know this will be a tradition that continues for many years to come. Other community events include the town cleanup, led by the Intra Club, and the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk, supported by the volleyball team and the JEA. It is clear that the Lions are making an impact in the community, but they're also standing out in the Shore. Our sports team are doing well, with volleyball and both soccer teams advancing to the Shore Conference Tournament. The boys' soccer team took it a step further and clinched a division title. Football had a good win last week and looked to take home another win at our homecoming game this Friday night. Our boys' cross-country team took first place at the Fall Classic out of a competitive field of 28 teams. Way to go, boys. Our band and color guard continue to prove why they have such a good reputation in the state by adding to their accolades with every competition they attend. We couldn't picture a better start to the year. We try to celebrate success and excellence every chance we can at Liberty. We maintain our usual honors of naming students, athletes, and Lions of the Month, but that isn't all. This month, we also had 4 guys and 4 girls selected to represent each grade as a part of the homecoming court. Additionally, senior superlatives were announced as the yearbook staff remains hard at work capturing the year's highlights. The creative departments in our school always help to provide those magic moments. JTV just put together another amazing show to get everyone in the Halloween spirit as they presented their annual Spooktacular event. The Drama Club is hard at work on their own show, Charlotte's Web, which is set to premiere the first week in November. But Liberty won't have to wait that long for another main event. The highly anticipated Battle of the Classes is finally back this week, and emotions are running high. It is officially Hype Week with crazy spirit days, streamers, and signs covering the hallways, and funny dances being practiced throughout Common Lunch. Although it's only the second month of school, it has been jam-packed in one of the best ways. Thank you for giving me this special place to speak on behalf of Jackson Liberty and for your much appreciated time. Have a great rest of your week and see you next month.
Thank you, Jose, and I agree. Only the second month of school, but lots and lots of things occurring and happening on all good things. So this evening, for our presentations tonight, we do have the state of our schools. Mr. Ratante, the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction, will be reviewing with the Board of Education the required reports and data from state testing that we are required to report out. Along with that, he'll talk about some of the approaches to instruction, our preschool initiative, as well as some other wonderful happenings happening in the district. So, Mr. Ratante, could you please come to the podium? And the presentation will be behind you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Permilli. Thank you to the board for this opportunity, as well as our community and our guests here tonight. Every year, we are required by the state of New Jersey to report on several of the state-mandated assessments. This report tonight will go over a lot of those assessments, but in order to make it a little more exciting than just simply numbers, we've also will be sharing a lot of information about what our district is doing as far as our own programs, some highlights of things to come as well. So to begin a report on where the state of the schools is, I think it's very important to focus on where we are as far as our student population. You can see here, this is just a snapshot of where we were in June of this past June of 2022 versus a decade ago on June of 2012. You can see on this slide that there's definitely been a significant change in a few different areas, most notably here economically disadvantaged and our English language learner, or as I'll refer to in the rest of this presentation as our ELL population. Our job here is to, our job and the reason that we're here is to teach our students. Whatever comes in our door, whoever walks through our door is the students that we embrace, we teach, and we want the best for every day and every school year that we have. Despite if you look at the total student drop from over the last 10 years, what is significant, however, is those the two areas that I just mentioned, the economically disadvantaged and English language learners. Those are students that need significant amount of resources and support as well. So even though the numbers overall may be declining, there's still a tremendous amount of support that we're providing for all of our students. So the 5 required assessments that I'll be reporting on tonight, the first one is our New Jersey Student Learning Assessments. These are the spring assessments that all students in grades 3 through 9 take in English and mathematics, and they're also given to our students in grades 5, 8, and 11. The New Jersey Graduation Proficiency Assessment is a new test that just appeared last year. I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the data. This test was designed to take the place of the New Jersey HESPA that was in place for many years that did disappear. And the Department of Education's ultimate goal is to create a high school proficiency test that all high school students pass as a graduation requirement. The DLM is our Dynamic Learning Map Assessment. This is administered to special education students with identified needs in grades 3 through 8 and 11 in English, math, and science. We are required to report all scores of any assessment that has 10 or more students taking it. The DLM test, due to the high nature of the specialization of it, we did not have any subject or grade level that had more than 10 students. So in order to protect the confidentiality of students, we actually will not be reporting any of the DLM data this evening because of the small number of students taking it. However, all of the individual students that do take that test, they receive individual score reports. Their parents receive individual score reports so they can see how that they did. Our Access for ELLs, this is a test that we administer to all of our English language learners. And Start Strong is another new assessment that's come into play in New Jersey over the last 2 years. This is more or less a pre-test that's given in the fall of each school year. We just administered it at the end of September to our students in grades 4 through 10 in English and math, and students in grades 6, 9, and 12 in science. And the design of this test is so the teachers can see the student's level of knowledge at the start of the school year. So I'll begin with our New Jersey SLA scores, and you can see here what I have on this slide is what our district's passing score is and what the state's passing score is. Students receive, there's 5 different scores a student can receive on the New Jersey SLA. They can receive a score of not meeting, partially meeting, approaching standards, meeting standards, or exceeding standards. What the state uses as their cutoff for passing, more or less, is either meeting or exceeding expectations. So what this slide does show is the amount of students in Jackson, as well as the state, that either met or exceeded expectations in all areas. The one thing I will comment about this test is at the beginning of last school year, we had not given this test since the spring of 2019. We were not sure if this test was even going to be a requirement by the state of New Jersey as we began last school year. Hate to take everybody back down a dark, unmemorable path, but if we all remember what last school year was, our focus last school year was getting kids back in school. We were dealing with incredible mandates that forced quarantines of students, of staff members. Our focus last year was not focusing on the New Jersey SLA assessment, but really focused on our whole curriculum, focused on making sure our social and mental health of kids was appropriate, and making sure that we were getting them back into a learning model. Many of our students that were in school last year had not been in school. Almost a quarter of the Jackson students were not here due to our closures in the spring of 2020 and their choice to do full remote learning for the 2020-2021 school year. So that's where our focus really did come into play for last school year, despite the New Jersey SLA expectations. Just one note on this test as far as 8th grade goes. All of our advanced 8th grade students do not take the grade 8 math test. They do take the Algebra 1 assessment. So that number for algebra represents our middle school as well as all of our high school students that took algebra. We are also required to report our subgroup data. You can see on this slide here, any subgroup that has more than 10 students, which is the items indicated on the bottom of this graph here, and it just shows a percentage of the students in those subgroups that either met or exceeded expectations on our ELA literacy test on this slide. And our following slide is the same information to show you the percentage of students that met or exceeded the expectations on the math portions from grades 3 through 8, as well as the algebra and the geometry assessments. Another requirement is to share the subgroup data. So you can see here the 4 subgroups noted on the bottom are the subgroups that we have 10 or more students indicated in, and it shows you the percentage of students that are passing in those subgroups. Typically, these are all subgroups that do struggle and do challenge with certain assessments, different types of assessments. What this data does is it really helps our teachers, helps our administration identify students in specific targeted areas and targeted needs for each child. Here's the same information for our math test. And again, all of these scores from the New Jersey SLA were sent home last week to all of the students that took those assessments. So if any parent did not receive their individual score report for their child and they were a student here in Jackson last year, they can reach out to me and we'll be happy to get you a copy of that score report. So the next test, as I mentioned at the beginning, is our graduation proficiency assessment. Again, this is a test that was kind of introduced last year. It was never really a normed test by the Department of Education. We administered it to all of our juniors last year in the spring, and we received our results not too long ago. The State Department of Ed, back in the really last month, did announce, however, this test, because it has not been normed, is no longer being used as a graduation requirement for the class of 2023. It is going to be reintroduced this year. We will be administering it again to our juniors this year, and this will become, the goal of the State Department of Ed is for this to become a graduation requirement for our students in the class of 2024, as well as 2025 and beyond. So we'll be a little bit more prepared for this test this year with a little more knowledge, a little more released information that our staff can use to help our students prepare for this assessment. The next assessment is our access testing. This test is administered to all of our students in the district who are our English language learners, our ELL students. You can see here there are really 6 different score categories that come into play, beginning with entering, and as the students move up the ladder, they get to bridging or reaching. As students do get to bridging or reaching, they actually exit the ELL program and are no longer in it. So to see very small numbers in the bridging or reaching category is typical because students who do reach that category are then exited from the program. What you can see from this slide, however, is the amount of students that are coming in as ELL students in the entering and emerging stages on this access testing. So this tells us what we need to know as far as where our needs are for our ELL students. We've been expanding our ELL program throughout the elementary schools as well as the middle and the high school, and we'll continue to look at this data and expand our programs as we look at enrollment and student needs as well. The last state assessment is our Start Strong assessment. This was just given at the end of September. All students who take the Start Strong are given a score of either strong support needed, some support needed, or less support needed. This test is really designed to be a pre-test. It's a test designed to show the teachers where the students are as they walk in the door at the start of the school year. Based on those 3 different categories there, we do get some information. However, the test itself, the literacy test, was only a 10-question multiple choice test. So the assessment data that we get here doesn't give us a whole lot of information. It really just is designed to give us a snapshot of where those students are to help the teachers begin the school year. You can see here, this is our data for math, and as expected, it pretty much is about a third of our students need strong support, a third are kind of in the middle, and a third at the high end. And the last slide here is our science report. The science is given to students in grades 6, 9, and 12. Because of the way the Jackson School District is set up, our 6th graders have science either in the fall semester or the spring semester, and with our grade 9 and 12 in the block schedule, some students do have science in the fall, some do have it in the spring, some might not have it at all. Testing our seniors in science, for anyone who's ever had a senior live under the roof of their house, I have 2 that have lived under my roof. Trying to get a senior to get geared up for a test that, for a class they don't take, doesn't really have a whole lot of consequences, and doesn't mean a whole lot to them is quite a challenge for us to get our seniors to go through those tests and do the best they can. But we give it the college try, and our seniors, you can see, do the best that they can under the circumstances. Moving on to our district assessments. These are more of our tried and true assessments. This is what our teachers are familiar with. These are normed tests that have been given for many years. This data is instantly available to our staff once they give it, and they really can use this information to drive our instruction and help all our students. So the 7 items up here, our scholastic math and our scholastic reading inventory are given to students, and it really tells us what their aptitude level and their ability level is in both reading and math. Those tests are individually paced as the students complete those tests. As they get questions right, it gives them more challenging questions. As they get questions wrong, it gives them more remedial questions to really give us a true level of where students are on those 2 levels. The Fonason-Pinnell is a literacy test that we use in elementary school, which really helps our teachers identify reading levels and engage students in appropriate leveled reading and leveled books. IXL is also an individually based assessment. Each student, as they work through the program, gets additional, if they are struggling in a certain area, they'll be given additional questions in those areas. As they do well in those areas, they'll be given questions that challenge them and move them a little bit further. We use benchmark testing in all our grade levels in different subjects, all of our different subjects. Our math fact fluency is the good old-fashioned making sure our elementary kids are learning their math facts, whether it's addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, the important skills that they need as they move through elementary math and into middle and high school. And our advanced placement test, which is our college-level courses for all of our students enrolled in the AP courses. This next slide shows our students who took AP courses last year. We had over 775 students take an AP course. Some students did take more than one course, so they may be duplicated, but 775 actual test administrations. And you can see there 464 student tests received a score of 3 or higher. This test is based on a score of 1 through 5, and majority of colleges, students who receive a 3, a 4, or a 5 on this test are given college credit when they walk into a college or university, and oftentimes not required to take that course or even given the credits for that course when they walk into college. These tests have enabled many of our students through the years to either graduate maybe a semester early, in some cases a year early, or in some cases just simply have credits where instead of taking a required course, it opened up room in their college schedules to take electives and other courses of interest, possibly in their major. Just kudos to our AP teachers, because last year, as I mentioned, with the amount of the challenges that we had in the school year, it was a tremendous task for our AP students to get this level of students and this high of a percentage of students receiving such a high score. The other test I mentioned earlier is our Scholastic Math Inventory and our Scholastic Reading Inventory. This test is given 3 times a year, kind of shows our teachers at the beginning of the year where their students are, as they're progressing in the middle of the year, and then a final assessment in the spring to show their growth. As we kind of predicted coming out of last school year, or the 2 school years prior, math was going to be an area of challenge where our students did have a lot of weaknesses and gaps. You can see there from the blue columns from the fall, the level of where our students were in the fall, and you can see the tremendous growth that happened throughout the school year for the winter and the spring. Spring showing students who are on grade level, students who may not have scored on grade level, that just means they have mastered the grade level. There are many, many students who are not included in this that got to grade level, they just weren't quite mastering the grade level skills and needed a little bit more work to get there. And you can see the same thing with our Scholastic Reading Inventory and the same growth that transpired throughout the school year in the literacy. The starting points for literacy were a little bit higher than our starting points in math as well. Just a couple areas of district focus in the areas of literacy and math. You can see several items that we're going to be focusing on our literacy instruction throughout the school year, including our elementary foundation program, our preschool creative curriculum that we're using in all of our preschools, which I'll talk about momentarily, our Scholastic Reading Inventory, our balanced literacy model, our Systems 44 and Read 180 programs that we're using for all students. We have a grant that we received that's providing support to all of our teachers in the area of inclusion. They've been working with our staff over the last several weeks. You can see that our Wilson Reading and our Orton Gillingham programs are being promoted throughout our literacy as well for identified students who need them. We have WIN periods at our elementary schools, which stands for What I Need, where each student during their WIN period each day has an opportunity to work with their teachers in whatever area that they may need help with, whether it's literacy, math, or even another subject over the course of the school year. In the area of math, we have our new Math Envision series that all of our elementary students are working with. We were in the Envision series prior to this, so this is really the updated model of the series we were using, so there really has not been a large learning curve for our staff to jump right into this program and have it be very effective with our students. I mentioned our IXL platform that we're using with our students in grades K through 8. We have an everyday application course in middle school for math, so students who are identified as needing additional support get an extra course once a day, an extra time working in a small group with the math teacher, working on grade level curriculum. And a couple other math areas of focus. We have a full year Algebra 1 course. We also, on the last slide, had a full year English course for our freshmen that need additional support in the areas of English 1 or Algebra 1. And also the WIN periods are being used in math as well. The next exciting thing I just do want to talk a little bit about is our preschool program. Right around this time a year ago, we announced to the district that we had received our preschool expansion aid, which was funding to promote eventually the ultimate goal of having free preschool for every single 3- and 4-year-old that lives in Jackson Township. Just to give you a little history of where we were, at this time last year, we had 7 preschool classrooms. It was a paid parent program. If you wanted your child in, you had to pay tuition to have your student in that program. We were servicing 72 students and had 7 classrooms spread out throughout the 6 elementary schools in the district. After earning the preschool expansion aid, we expanded over the course of last year to 18 classrooms and 179 students. Not only was that 179 students that were now getting preschool, the 72 that were paying no longer had to pay as well. So all 179 students were receiving free preschool. And for this current school year that we're in right now, we've now expanded to 28 classrooms and we're servicing 329 preschool students in the district. A couple highlights of our preschool program. We have partnered with the Head Start program. They provide us a great deal of resources and outreach for our students who are part of the Head Start program as well as our own program. We're part of the Grow New Jersey Kids, who also provide resources for us for our curriculum, as well as family and community engagement and professional development for our staff. Our preschool staff is all trained in the creative curriculum. That's the model that we use for all of our students in our preschool program. We also have the opportunity to screen all of our preschool children to identify any needs at an early age so we can get our students involved and engaged in the right programs before they even begin kindergarten. We also have some specialists in our program, including an intervention and referral team, a PERT teacher, as well as a social worker, and a master teacher that are all part of the preschool program. Our goal for next school year is to continue to expand this program. We really have exhausted every inch of space that we have in our elementary schools. We really have run out of room. So what our goal is for next year is to use the D wing over here at Memorial High School, kind of close it off and make it a school within a school. We'll have our own little preschool school as part of Memorial High School. That'll allow us the opportunity for 8 new classrooms, bring our district total up to 36 classrooms, and the opportunity to serve 448 preschool children. Having a program here at Memorial also gives us a lot of other opportunities, as we have child development classes that our high school students take. They can work in conjunction with our preschool program, just an added benefit there, and also other programs that we have that take place here at Memorial High School that can work with our preschool students. It's kind of a very exciting opportunity that we have coming up to have that program being housed at a high school. Just moving forward with some of our goals for preschool. Obviously, we'll continue our partnership with Head Start and Grow New Jersey Kids. Obviously, we'll be continuing to hire specialized personnel. If you know of anybody that has a P3 certificate, please encourage them to apply in the spring. We'll be posting for many new preschool positions in our district. Also, our vertical articulation between not just our preschool, but along with our kindergarten and first grade to help our students make a seamless transition from preschool into our school-age programs. And our goal as we build the program here at Memorial in the D wing, we'll also be looking to create a preschool playground. We're also putting preschool playgrounds at all of the other schools. I'm sure if you've seen driving around town, some of the construction at all the different schools regarding putting an individual preschool playground at every building. And also, using our D-wing here, we'll be reforming some of the bathrooms and space to make sure that it is preschool compliant. So a big thank you to Tracy Decker, who's here as well tonight, for overseeing the start of that program, which has been quite a large undertaking with the amount of staff and students that we've brought on board for that program. So it's definitely, there's no question, it's been a long 2.5 years for our students, our staff, our administration, and also our families. We truly have not been able to properly focus in these past 2.5 years on the core values of what makes education possible. Engaging kids, building connections, all critical components to instruction and academic growth. While all the data in this presentation is important, making sure our students and our staff have positive social, emotional, mental health, are happy to come to school, enjoy what they're learning, is arguably even more important than any test score. Without any of that, teaching and learning becomes quite a challenge. There's a great atmosphere, as you heard from our senior speakers and our junior speakers today, to start our school year. There's energy, there's enthusiasm, there's a lot of rebirth, so to speak, taking place in our school year. We are committed this year to focusing on our core. We've met with all of our staff as we opened the school year. We talked about strengthening our core, strengthening the safety of our students, the relationships of our students, and strengthening our instruction. It's great to see everyone remembering all the positive things about school, and it's truly been heartwarming to see the students and staff back doing what they love in the classrooms every day. To close out our State of the Schools presentation today, we would like to show you a true state of the schools of where we've been for this past month and a half as we began the start of the 22-23 school year. was a little hard to hear, but at the end of that speech, what Shayna Brenner said is, I would like to thank all the students for being the reason that we come to work every day and the reason that I smile and enjoy what I'm doing. And she speaks for really the entire Jackson school community, the entire staff of our district, that we do thank our students. We thank everyone that's persevered for the last 2.5 years to kind of get through what we had. It was great in that video to see kids doing labs, kids playing together. It was great to see kids wearing goggles instead of masks and working together on projects and those kinds of things. So as you can see from this video, we're on our way back. There's a lot of work to be done throughout the district, but we look forward to continuing to grow together, to learn together, and most importantly, have fun together. Thank you. Any questions from the board? Go ahead, Ms. Cass.
One of the first slides that you showed, our track record against New Jersey, it was like the very first one. We had a pretty big drop from 8th grade to 9th grade in language arts. Like I felt like we were like on track, and then all of a sudden they graduate 8th grade and get to 9th and it was low again.
Yeah, let me pull that slide up.
Yeah, so it goes from grade 9 on the English language arts. Like that's a significant drop. Like it looked like we were on target, like we were, fairly good, and then all of a sudden there's a pretty big, a pretty big dip.
Correct.
And I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind, your 9th grade students last year are the ones who went into COVID at the end of 6th grade. So they really missed most of middle school. I mean, there's no doubt, there's no question that missing that much of what we do every day in the classrooms made an impact, and you can see it not just in the grade 9, but even on the high school, the algebra and the geometry. There's certain grade levels that I think were really more impacted than others based on everything that happened, and that group of freshmen who really kind of missed middle school for the most part as far as what we do every day and what we've done. When you look at what our seniors had that got through middle school and our juniors had, so I would attribute some of it to that, but it definitely shows a scenario where we need to continue to grow and work on for next year or for this year.
We're also obviously much stronger in math than we are in language arts, right?
What's funny is typically we were not. Pre-pandemic, I would say it was more the other way around. It seemed to have flipped over based on the assessments. This is also we were giving the PARCC exam prior to COVID. They had just introduced NJSLA in 2019, so it really was a brand new test, and then we didn't give it for 2.5 years. So when we have our assessments, we do they release evidence statements. They release a lot of information on these tests that our teachers can jump into and see certain questions, certain strands, certain topics where our students do well, and it helps us to evaluate our curriculum and say, all right, most of the kids in Jackson struggled on this question, but the kids in Jackson did very well on that question. Let's look at our curriculum and make sure that we're hitting these areas properly and with the right amount of fidelity, and we can accommodate for that. These tests being new and having a 3-year gap between giving them really made that a challenge for us, but I can assure you the supervisors are already diving into the evidence statements. They've already met with staff in department meetings, and they're working on that because that's a number that we pride ourselves in. We want that to be higher.
I would just like to say the expansion of this preschool, I think the timing is impeccable that we are able to expand this. I want to commend the district for aggressively seeking this funding. I think that, and as everyone knows, inflation is at a 40-year high. And I could just imagine if we didn't have this funding, parents weighing the options of paying for preschool for their children or paying the rent. And that's a hard decision to make. And we're actually expanding and allowing parents to send their preschoolers to school, and they don't have to make that decision. So I commend the district. I think this is amazing, and I think every Jackson resident should be really, really proud of this, that we have this specifically at this time.
That's a great point, and I think there's sadly many families that wouldn't be in preschool if we didn't have this program, and that only impacts them and as they get to kindergarten. Any other questions from the board?
I have a question.
Sure. Mr. Walsh.
Because I lived there for a long time in D-Wing, could you expand upon what you're going to do to bring preschool kids into a high school environment and how you are going to keep the two groups separate from one another?
An excellent question. So it will literally be a separate school within the school. They will not be arriving or departing on high school times. They will come in at a later time. They will leave at a later time. What's nice about that D wing is we can simply close the door at the end of the hallway. So it's just preschool, high school students are not coming into that wing. And the outside entrance that we have there will allow buses to come right up front right in front of the D wing, and we will unload and load kids off of the buses right in and out of that main entrance right there. There's room immediately outside of that wing to put a playground, so we can put our playground equipment right outside of there. So the cafeteria is also adjacent to that wing as well, so we can very easily get food from the cafeteria into the D wing without having the students have to go into the classrooms or go into the high school hallway. So it really will be a completely separate existence from the two of them.
Are we blowing out the bathrooms and redoing them?
So yes, as part of the compliance with the preschool grant is the toilets, the sinks all must be preschool size. So what we'll be doing is there's a bathroom in that hallway. The goal is to redo that bathroom and have all preschool compliant sinks and toilets that are in that wing. And the way that the grant works is it does mandate bathrooms in the classroom. However, if it's just one hallway, it can be in the line of sight from that hallway. So we only need to do that one bathroom and not change anything else anywhere in the high school as far as the bathrooms are concerned.
Will that door have security on it, or will it have a security lock to it?
We have not gotten into those details yet, but that's something that we will figure out the best method. It could simply be a matter of being locked.
And we should be careful about what we discuss publicly about the security that we're going to implement. Okay.
Good point, Mr. Zedler.
Will that affect the class sizes? Like now that you're taking the day wing away, is that going to affect the high schoolers and their class sizes or classrooms that were needed, or?
So what that wing is primarily used for is health classes, some extra additional classes. They use it for some of the testing. So we're already working with the Memorial Administration on other places in the building where they can do those that will have zero impact on the amount of current staff at Memorial or class sizes. Mrs. Decker, did you want to say something?
There's plans for my office and my staff and my coaches to move to that D wing, so there'll be a lot of specialized people who understand preschool and understand that in that particular part of the area.
It's exciting. It's changed. It's something new, but it's exciting at the same time.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Vitante, for the very thorough presentation, and thank you to the staff and the administrative team. The preschool grant was something they aggressively went after, I would agree. Mr. McGinsky, Dr. Taylor, and Mrs. Decker all aggressively went after that, along with other folks, to support that application. So it is a huge benefit to this district and this community. So staying on the same concept as Mr. Vitante was just going over, we have put forth a lot of effort on professional development in the areas that we know we need to continue to achieve in for our students. Most recently, October 10th, as you know, was closed for students, but we were open for staff, and we had professional development. Every single staff member was busy all day long in professional growth opportunities. We had consultants coming in, and in fact, I was able to visit many of the sessions, particularly some that I wanted to just note do support the areas that we know that we need to continue to focus on and strengthen our core in. We had our elementary teachers working with the new math resources, getting to know those, getting to know what interventions are available and what other materials are there to support our student learners. We also had our middle school math teachers with a consultant. I got to sit in on that session for quite a bit of time, where they were reviewing manipulatives that are important for even our middle school math students to help them better understand fractions and decimals, and to also help to differentiate instruction and engage students in instruction. There were sessions at our high school for the teachers on problem-based learning, helping us to think more critically at content area and how to engage students in that higher level critical thinking. Every area across the district was busy with professional growth and targeting those areas that we know we want to continue to strengthen our core in. It was a very productive day. I do want to again congratulate Shayna Brenner for the Milken Award. That was quite exciting. As you can see from the video, she was quite surprised. It was a wonderful announcement, and congratulations to her. And thank Elms staff who are fabulous. All of our staff are fabulous and really do put forth I'm glad Mr. Ratante shared the words that Ms. Brenner said at the end of her speech, because it's true of all of our staff. They are here because it is powerful for them to know that they're making connections and helping students each and every day. So in October, we also have, you saw a little bit in the video as well, we have the weeks of violence, vandalism awareness, the Week of Respect, and Red Ribbon Week, all of which many activities and events happen within our schools that go above and beyond what we already do as an integrated approach to these things. Some of the things that some of our schools, just to highlight a few for the board, that they took place in over the month of October and will continue to take place, are a video in regards to stomping out bullying and then holding discussions afterwards with students, upstanders, student pledges, so students take the pledge to be upstanders, wearing blue to stomp out bullying, unity, wearing school shirts in unity for all for one, and each school held long, throughout the week, held long events around unity, kindness, acceptance, and stomping out bullying, being upstanders, as well as stomping out and not using drugs. So all of those things have happened and continue to happen through the month of October. Lots of activities. I'm sure some of you who have children in the schools have seen some of those activities and announcements coming out. One of the things I do want to make sure that I share with the board and thank is the Township Clerk's Office and the County Clerk's Office, who were responsive to our many requests to remove the polling site from Holman Elementary School. We received official news yesterday that the polling site has been moved. It will actually be at the First Aid on Veterans Highway on that building. So thank you for the responsiveness to the county clerk and the township clerk on that. It's brought much relief for safety for our schools, for Holman Schools specifically. And then I just want to mention one of the other things in the very full October that we're having is we also administered the PST this month to all of our juniors. So it's been a very busy month and will continue to be a busy month. That concludes my superintendent's report, Mr. Walsh.
Thank you, Ms. Parmilli. Standing committee reports, State and County School Board report.
The next county meeting will be December 12th, 6:30 at Brick High School. There will be a presentation on school finance.
Okay, parent group liaison, we met last week. There was very good conversation between the superintendent and the parent leaders in each one of the buildings and between the parent leaders in each building. The next time they will meet will be January 11th, 2023. Special education, Dr. Taylor is going to talk about that.
We held our first SEAC meeting this Monday, October 17th, at Liberty High School in person, I'm happy to say. We are back in person this year, a decision of the SEAC Steering Committee. It was on recreational opportunities for all. It was held by Mr. Greg McLean, who's a district supervisor of athletics. It was attended by multiple families and very much appreciated. It was recorded. It will be placed on our website as well, along with the PowerPoint from that presentation. The next meeting is tentatively scheduled for sometime in November. We're still currently reviewing the topics. We recently conducted a survey of special education parents so they can get input into topics. So one of those will be selected for that next presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. Thank you, Dr. Taylor. Okay, scholarship, there's no further report on that. Building and grounds. I got it. In McAuliffe, they had some plumbing work completed. Okay, Crawford, a sidewalk was repaired. Getz had a generator repaired. Okay, they also had a bottle filling station installed, I think 3 of them. Okay, Switlick power washed all the trailers that are outside. Memorial resurfaced the running track, which is a long time in coming. and the rest of it is pretty much status quo. Okay, budget and finance.
Budget and Finance will be meeting soon, I guess, to, we haven't set a date yet, but we will be meeting soon to start the year.
Yeah, that season will come up soon enough. Okay, transportation. We haven't met, so there's no further information to be given on that. Curriculum committee.
We had met in September, and we don't have a future date at the moment.
Policy committee.
There has been a policy update to Policy 5512, harassment, intimidation, and bullying, since it was last approved in July. The New Jersey Department of Education released a related reporting form since that time, which has necessitated this update. Please visit our district website for further detail.
What did you want, the enrollment combined with what?
I think we have to talk about that later.
Okay.
The enrollment study committee, nothing at this time. I need a motion to approve a policy and regulations first reading.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing no discussion, roll call.
Mrs. Barakis?
Yes.
Mrs. Katz?
Yes.
Mr. Palmieri?
Yes.
Mr. Sargent?
Yes.
Mrs. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes. Motion to approve the minutes, the official board meeting, September 21st of 2022, closed session meeting. Official
Motion.
board, let me finish. Official board meeting, September 21st, 2022, committee of the whole and business meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing no discussion, roll call.
Mrs. Barakis?
Yes.
Mrs. Katz?
Yes.
Mr. Palmieri?
Yes.
Mr. Sargent?
Yes.
Mrs. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes. Okay, I need a motion to approve the bill list.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. Seeing no discussion, roll call.
Mrs. Barakis?
Yes.
Mrs. Katz?
Yes.
Mr. Palmieri?
If I can, I'm abstaining on any payments to or contracts with Staples. Please note that this abstention applies to this meeting and any further meetings. Otherwise, yes.
Mr. Sargent?
Yes.
Mrs. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes. Need a motion to approve the treasurer's and board secretary's report.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. Seeing no discussion, roll call.
Mrs. Barakis?
Yes.
Mrs. Katz?
Yes.
Mr. Palmieri?
Yes.
Mr. Sargent?
Yes.
Mrs. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes. Need a motion to open public forum on agenda items only. We will hold another public forum during the meeting for any other questions. This public forum will be for questions on the agenda only.
Motion.
Second.
Please sign in, state your name, and whether or not you are a Jackson resident. Each person is allowed a maximum of 5 minutes to speak. No person may speak more than once on a topic until all others have been heard. Seeing no one come forward, I need a motion to close public forum.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Resolutions for action. Motion to move finance.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion.
Do you want to do it?
Huh? He's going to do it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Before the vote on finance, I just want to be very clear. Finance number 9 where it states vacant parcels. The board wishes to convey the vacant parcels to the Township of Jackson for fair and reasonable consideration in order for the township to utilize and develop said parcels. It's Green Acres purposes only. It's not for development purposes. So I just wanted to be very clear. So anyone that may read this, this is not for development purposes. It will be a open lot, Green Acres purposes.
It's basically swampland. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Barakis?
Yes.
Mrs. Cass?
Yes.
Mr. Palmieri?
Yes.
Mr. Sargent?
Yes.
Mrs. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes. Motion to move facilities.
Motion. Second.
Discussion. Seeing no discussion, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Motion to move programs.
Motion. Second.
Any discussion? I love number 13, the STEM robotics program. The kids are going to love it, and it's really going to be good towards those interested in engineering. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Barakis?
Yes.
Mrs. Cass?
Yes.
Mr. Palmieri?
Yes.
Mr. Sargent?
Yes.
Mrs. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes. Motion to move students.
Motion. Second.
Discussion. Seeing no discussion, roll call.
Mrs. Barakis?
Yes.
Mrs. Cass?
Yes.
Mr. Palmieri?
Yes.
Mr. Sargent?
Yes.
Mrs. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes. Motion to move personnel.
Motion. Second.
Discussion. Seeing no discussion, roll call.
Mrs. Barakis?
Yes.
Mrs. Cass?
Yes.
Mr. Palmieri?
Yes.
Mr. Sargent?
Yes.
Mrs. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes. Need a motion to open public forum for any topic pertaining to the Board of Education.
Motion. Second.
Please sign in, state your name, and whether or not you're a Jackson resident. Each person is allowed maximum of 5 minutes to speak. No person may speak more than once on any topic until the others have been heard. Seeing no one come forward, okay, I need a motion to close public forum.
Motion. Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Board comments.
I actually have a lot tonight, kind of. Okay, so I wanted to thank our high school delegates, as always. I think it's great that you guys come and update us. I want to congratulate Miss Brenner on the Milken. Oh, I apologize, Milken Award. It was very prestigious. I did watch her little clip, and it was amazing, so that's great for her and the district. I wanted to thank the Westlake Veterans Club because they donated to the Liberty Choral Program, so that's always a wonderful thing. And I also wanted to say that we got to do school tours again, so myself, Mr. Palmieri, and Mrs. Barakis. And I just have to say, you guys, JTV back there, love the van, love the classroom. My kids aren't into digital arts, but I have to say we have a stellar program, and it was quite impressive to see. And if you've never seen it, there's a studio. They can actually film like a little sitcom if they wanted to, so it's pretty impressive. Really enjoyed that. We also got to see some art classes and a cooking class, and even the little kids in the elementary, so it was very heartwarming day. It was, we have a lot of great things for our students that I don't think a lot of people realize. I also wanted to thank Liberty Band. They gave us tickets to their competition this weekend. I am a former color guard member, so for me, it was a lot of fun. I did go. What I did not know either, I don't know if anybody else knows, but apparently Dan Zarrow from 101.5 went to our schools, and so it was kind of nice to put a face to hearing him on the radio, and he was in attendance. And the performances were amazing, both Memorial and Liberty, I have to say. I also enjoyed the vintage shops at both McAuliffe and Liberty. Anybody highly suggest if you have any gently used items. It's a great, great program. And I just wanted to also remind everybody that our election is coming up, and we do have 2 seats on the Board of Ed. I know Mrs. Barakis is seeking re-election. Mike is not. We will be missing you. And other than that, I just want to wish everybody a happy and safe Halloween and a good night. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Mr. Palmer.
So I would also like to thank our student board members. Thank you for the update. It is always great to hear what's happening in our high school, so thank you for that. Very informative. And as Mrs. Cass had stated before, we did get an opportunity, since our last meeting, we've had an opportunity to visit several of our schools, McAuliffe Middle School, Liberty High School, Johnson and Crawford elementary schools, and I would just like to thank Superintendent Mrs. Permilli, Assistant Superintendent Mr. Baginski, Mr. Bruno, all of the administrators and staff for making that possible. All of our schools have so much to offer. And getting the opportunity to really see them in progress has been amazing, and I think every Jackson resident should be really, really proud. So thank you, and have a good night.
Thank you. Mrs. Barakis?
Hi, everyone. So I just wanted to say, since starting school, I know everyone's been running around and getting acclimated to their schedules and figuring out which clubs to join and, your after-school activities. But over the last few months, I've had the opportunity to attend many of our high school football games. And the highlight for me was the Memorial versus Liberty game. The biggest highlight for me was that the bands from both of our high schools put on an amazing display that really shows just how much time and effort goes into putting these performances together. But the performance that really brought a smile to my face, and I think to many, was the combination of our dance teams but from both high schools. This performance really spoke volumes to me, and it just shows that even though we may be 2 schools, but at the end of the day, we are all one Jackson. So I just wanted to say, just when you have the opportunity, getting out to some of the events that we have, you really see what goes in, what our students are doing outside of school. And also just to remind everyone that in-person early voting is October 29th to November 6th, and Election Day is November 8th, and use your voice at the polls. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Sargent?
I'd like to thank the staff for helping to fill all the empty seats that are in the building tonight. Thank you very much for that, and thank you, and drive safe.
Next.
Thank you all for coming out and joining us on live stream. Thank you, Mr. Rosanti, for your presentation of the state of the schools and the student reps. Congratulations to Ms. Brenner on her recognition, and everyone have a great and safe night.
Thank you. I've seen some things tonight on this agenda. AP class is taking trips for Model Congress into Washington. That is really normal. That's what they should be doing in school. Ski trips are planned and being initiated. Band are going to national championships. And the one that really got my eye was we're starting an esports program. Kids are going to love that. I would like to give a shout out to Louise Augustin, who spent many years over at Jackson Memorial as the head girls track coach or assistant girls track coach. She's done a great job. Last, I want to say, please come out and vote. It is your civic duty. This is where you get your voice heard. So please come out and vote. Motion to adjourn by acclamation.
Motion.
Motion?
Yes.
Second. Aye.
Aye.